that we're going to see this. I do know one thing. The mid-majors are going to have a lot more pressure on them from their presidents.
A lot of coaches are saying that, huh?
That's right. More pressure on them. Always the teams like us have the pressure. Second half, I'm not so sure any of my guys wanted to shoot the ball on one possession. And there is more pressure there, but they've had a great run. But if you take the name George Mason off the front of that jersey, you make everybody practice with blank jerseys and the coaches sit up there, they're not going to pick out. That team is a mid-major. They're not going to pick them out because seniors. This year I had 5 guys in the NBA that could still be playing for us.
So is someone going to pick the game tonight? Let's talk the first game. I want to make you guys make picks and
we can't do
see
any
how
worse
you
than you do.
Well, I like the way Florida's been playing personally. I really do. And I keep thinking, and I did as this tournament went on, that sooner or later, not the depth as far as conditioning-wise would hurt George Mason, but I thought the depth as far as foul trouble, especially when they got the Jim's team who has an abundance of big guys. And yet it didn't happen there. I do think that when playing awfully well, if they pound it in, foul trouble could be a difference.
So Florida, might be hearing Florida?
Florida, Noah's size, I think, is extremely important for them inside as well.
Florida, the most complete team, I think, in the tournament.
All right, well, at least we'll all be wrong together then, I guess. Let's talk about the other game. Now, you played LSU. They almost beat you guys back in Connecticut in December. What's the trick to beating that?
67-66. And somehow or other control their athleticism, and they're fearless. I don't know, in the Duke game, they're +5. I'm ready to put the ball away. They keep attacking. Mm-hmm. And Big Baby takes the three-pointer. I mean, they are the most fearless group in this particular tournament. And we haven't been against it as an athletic team as them. I mean, I don't remember being an athletic team. They're that good.
What do you think about Florida, LSU, UCLA?
LSU's playing great. UCLA's playing great defense, but I haven't seen a team that just jumps out at you athletically like LSU. When I watched the Duke game, I mean, I'm like Jimmy, I mean, they kept going after them. There's no telling if that game had lasted another 2 hours, 4 hours, they may have still been doing it.
Well, I like LSU, but right now I'm going to pick UCLA. I think the Holland kid has really played well in the last 4 or 5 games after having what seemed to be on average. Paulo and Farmar are 2 great guards, and like Royce said, the defense that, you know, Ben has brought from the East Coast or Pittsburgh, and everybody thought, can he get the West Coast guys, which seems to be more of a finesse league. He's done a heck of a job of that, and they are tough defense.
All right, as long as you're on the roll, give me a national champion. Real quick, who do you got?
I'll take Florida.
Florida?
LSU.
LSU?
Florida.
Florida, and I like Florida too. Sorry, guys. Once again, Roy Williams is the smartest guy in the room. Let's send it back up. Guys, thanks for, hey, next year on the court, all right? Let's go back up to Greg.
All right, Seth. Potentials and terrific teams, each victimized by George Mason in this tournament. Stay tuned. The Final Four show continues live from Indianapolis after this.
Coming up, it began with John Wooden. 11 national championships later, can these young Bruins live up to the UCLA legacy?
The 2006 Motor Trend Sport Utility of the Year, the new Nissan Xterra. Show us your X.
Degree for men. 3 times the protection for men who take risks.
Earn a college degree in the U.S. Navy. And proudly display your school colors. Navy.
Give me your hair and your shoulders for just 1 day, and I'll give you flake-free hair that's never been more beautiful.
New Selsun Salon from Selsun Blue. No flakes, no itch. Rich in vitamins and moisturizers. Selsun Salon.
Just 1 day, you'll never look over your shoulders again.
Maybe. Yes, sir! A tradition unlike any other. The Masters on CBS. This is Clark Kellogg with CBS Sports coming to you from our New York studios. Joining me from his basketball game location is Bill Hardwood Exchange. Number 2 seed Tennessee against number 15 seed Winthrop. And it was Chris Lofton who hit a wild shot to win it for the Volunteers.
Well, Clark using Cisco's unified communications technology. We'll take a look right here. Lofton breaks to the ball very well. There is no adjustment made by the defense. He gets it, he makes the curl move down on the baseline and hits the improbable shot. Tennessee advances.
Billy, thank you very much. That'll do it for this Hardwood Exchange.
Welcome back to the RCA Dome in George Mason against Florida, the first of our 2 semifinal games. Florida head coach Billy Donovan gave us a chance to listen in on his pregame speech as he gets his Florida Gators set for this game. This is what Coach Donovan had to say to his team a short while ago.
To the identity that you guys have created the entire season. It's been about us. And regardless of what opponent we've played, it's never been about the name across our opponent's chest, ever. It's always been about the name on the back of the jersey of our opponent, because we got to know and how we're guarding. It's about what's in this room. You guys have shown great love, passion, and care for one another on the floor. Continue to do that. Continue to play that way. Play the right way like you've played. And play to the identity you guys created.
Well, it shows you the feelings and the intensity. Now, to show you how the range of emotions and how things can change on the other side of the building in the George Mason locker room, this is head coach Jim Larrañaga talking to his George Mason Patriots.
Called a Final Four poem. There once was a team named Mason. They captured the hearts of a nation. They arrived at the Dome and made it their home, and that caused quite a sensation. There once was a team named Gator that was a Mason hater. They arrived at the Dome, tried to make it their home, but was sent home sooner rather than later.
Welcome back. Dick Enberg rejoins us now. I don't know if Walt Whitman is rolling in his grave or not, but Jim Larrañaga knows what's best for his team. Stuff. Dick was the TV voice of UCLA basketball for 9 years, starting in 1966, and during his time behind the mic, the Bruins won 8 titles in 9 years. Dick, that translates into a whole lot of oh my's.
That's where it was born. Oh my. Greg, I did ride the Wooden Wave in Westwood, and what up shoulders with Coach Wooden, a man of true greatness and goodness. And to this day, every UCLA victory is much more than just a win for the Bruins. It's a continuing compliment to one man's incomparable legacy.
Striving for championships is just as important as winning them.
No program has more tradition or history of success than UCLA.
UCLA timeless. It just symbolizes greatness. Be at your best when your best is needed, and I think that's what I think of when I think of UCLA.
Wearing those 4 letters across my chest means a lot, and you have to carry that with a lot of pride.
UCLA legacy stands for excellence. To win 7 in a row without losing, that's quite an achievement.
Well, success, true success, is not material things, in my opinion. Success is the self-satisfaction that one gets from knowing they made the effort to do the best of which they're capable.
When you think of UCLA, the first thing be John R. Wooden. I am just a caretaker. This is his program.
All the values and beliefs that he teaches just go into making a good, complete person, not just a complete basketball player. He's college basketball. He set the bar for all coaches. He's created that tradition, what we all strive to be is the best. Made to the Sweet 16.
Hello, Sweet 16. UCLA is headed to Oakland.
In Elite 8.
What a comeback! UCLA!
And the Final Four.
The magic continues for UCLA.
The only thing at UCLA that the ultimate goal can be is a national championship.
We look at the 11 championships up there, you know, the 10 won by Wooden and the one in 95, and we want to somehow get one up there.
Our 10 championships at UCLA They were just the icing on the cake. There is more value in the journey than in the victory itself. For the journey is its own reward on the road to the Final Four.
All those positive things from the past, all those things John Wooden captured for this school. Winning a national championship puts us right back in that place again.
I will be hoping that they get a chance to make their own mark in the NCAA tournament and that things continue to go well for them. When they take the floor, I'm going to be proud of what they represent because that's part of me.
You're playing for the players that paved the way for you. Lou Alcindor, Bill Walton, Michael Warren. You can go on and on. Hopefully, we can win. Say, yeah, I was a part of that legacy.
Is Indiana's gift to UCLA. He grew up just south of here in Martinsville and was an All-America at nearby Purdue. He's over 95 years of age now, but he is razor sharp in his forward thinking. We had an opportunity to visit with him this week, and I asked Coach, well, what would you like to see change in the game? He said, well, I've got three things. One, call the palming. He said, I know they're trying to do better, but they're still palming the ball way too much. Two, don't let the team that has just scored call a time team. It's their ball now. Why should the scoring team have any advantage? And three, ban the dunk. Now, he's not totally against the dunk, but the dunk for Coach Wooden represents all the things he does not like about the game. Me-ism. He doesn't like the chest beating. It's all about me, and the dunk does create that. And Greg, he told an incident recently where he was watching a game and a kid raced down the court full speed, did a 360, dunked over the back of his head, and the crowd was in a roar. And the man behind him tapped Coach on the shoulder and said, Coach, he said he'd have been on the bench before his feet hit the floor.
Hard to argue with the man, isn't it?
What a great one.
Yeah, guys, how is that UCLA team going to live up to that past legacy tonight?
Well, they've got to do it with defense. That's how they've played all season long. Defensively, they've tried to take care of business there. I think LSU's front line is too strong. Shot making from Darryl Mitchell and Tasman Mitchell could be the difference.
Yeah, UCLA definitely has a problem in terms of free throw shooting. Their two best big guys, Ryan Hollins and Luke Richard Baamute, both shooting in the 50% range for the tournament. Ryan Hollins was 2 for 11 from the line against Memphis. I just feel like if they're not knocking down a considerably higher percentage of free throws.
All right, guys, thank you. Dick, as always, thank you very much. We'll take a timeout, and then we will continue live from Indianapolis on the Final Four show.
If you think you're frustrated with your tournament brackets, you're not alone. We'll hear how Lewis Black feels about his Final Four picks next.
Only 1 in 4 people are very confident they have saved enough for retirement. Who can help you feel more confident about your future? The Hartford.
Bree for Men protects men who take risks. Nissan, who invites you to shift the way you move through the world. And by The Hartford, official corporate partner of the NCAA.
As we move steadily toward tip time of Game 1 tonight, we welcome you back to the RCA Dome. One thing's for sure about this 2006 tournament, no one's happy about their brackets anymore. Certainly not comedian Lewis Black.
There's nothing we Americans love more than a diversion. And this is the greatest diversion on earth. And now it's going to be over, huh? And we're going to have to find stuff to do. And I don't have a yard or anything that I can go frolic in. If there was anything that was totally joyous for me as a spectator, was to watch the so-called experts pontificate about this chart and be totally wrong. You have any idea what the odds were this year of picking the Final Four? A million, cotillion, gazillion, batillion. That's 600,940,575. That's so many zeros they won't even fit on the screen. And who do we have in the Final Four? George Mason, Florida, UCLA, LSU. Who are you going to root for? Well, you got to go with LSU, don't you? UCLA, 1 and 1 and 1 and 1. They've had enough trophies to last them a lifetime. And George Mason, the story of the year, up against Florida. Well, how do you not root for the Patriots? Their story is spectacular. They're named after somebody in America who was until the tournament. Isn't that a contribution to our society? George Mason, I bet, didn't know who George Mason was. This tournament reminded us that it's not the names of the teams that are important, it's the basketball that's being played. That's what counts. I wish those teams had come through, though, because my bracket. And here's something that I can guarantee you. When those brackets come out next year with the 1, 2, and 3 seeds, you know what they're going to do next year? They're going to win. And yet all of us idiots out there will be picking the lower seed and some.
Lewis Black, thank you very much. All right, we're looking at George Mason and Florida. What do you expect to happen in this game?
Well, you know, my heart has been moved by the George Mason story, just like it's been for everybody else. They really play a balanced game. I expect Florida to be able to keep them from making a high percentage of their shots. So I give the edge to Florida, in part because of that guy there, Joakim Noah. I think he's the best player on the floor, and I'm going to hang my hat with the Gators in large part because of him.
Yeah, everybody's talking about how's George Mason going to deal with. He's going to have to deal with George Mason's guards in Campbell, Skin, and Lamar Butler. Those guys shooting a very high percentage. That's why I think Corey Brewer is going to be a great weapon. Defensively, I agree with Clark, as Clark would say, too much cereal in the pantry. Cinderella strikes midnight tonight, and Florida moves on.
George Mason can win if they have a terrific shooting game from the perimeter, mainly the three-point line, and if Jai Lewis and Will Thomas can duplicate the effort they showed against UConn last Sunday. But I think it's the Gators.
And they got to make free throws, too. That's been a problem for Mason.
I'll talk with you at halftime, see how those predictions are going. Coming up, it's game 1 of the national semifinals. George Mason against Florida. Jim Nance and Billy Packer set to call the action for you. We'll see you at the half. Enjoy the game, everyone, here on CBS.
Is Osama bin Laden planning to strike again? Yes, says one of his top aides, who spent years by his side. He's on 60 Minutes tomorrow.
A tradition unlike any other. The Masters on CBS.
Finally, real answers from your foreclosure team on how you can stop foreclosure and you're in financial trouble. Your foreclosure team has the answers. Are you facing any of these problems? Behind on payments, job loss, divorce, bad tenants, need repairs? Are you 100% financed? Your foreclosure team has the resources to work with your lender to help you sell your home or avoid mounting debt by letting us buy your home directly. Give us a call at 877-4BANK-HELP or visit our website. Finally, real answers from your foreclosure team.
Where do you guys want to go for dinner? I know I want wings.
East Coast wings.
I want a Kids Burger.
East Coast wings.
I want a chicken sandwich.
East Coast wings. East Coast wings.
Hey, I got an idea. How about East Coast wings?
East Coast Wings has something for everyone. Choose from 42 flavors of wings, salads, burgers, wraps, appetizers, subs, chicken sandwiches, and kids' meals. East Coast Wings. For the one nearest you, eastcoastwings.net.
ESPNU available from DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV to order.
Nothing is more powerful than the truth, and the truth is more Americans choose Chevy than any other brand.
See why during the Chevy NCAA March Madness event. Chevy Impala has more standard horsepower and better V6 fuel economy than Camry. Now use $500 auto show bonus cash to lease an 06 Impala 1 month. Residency restrictions apply. Call for details. Or get it for less during the Chevy NCAA March Madness event. See your Carolina Chevy dealers or visit ChevyNC.com.
WRAL investigates. Coverage you can count on.
George Mason is in the Elite Eight. By George, the dream is alive.
Cinderella, a giant killer that has slayed Goliaths time and time and time again. Will Florida be next? He's been here before as a player and a coach, and now leads an athletic group of underclassmen with contagious energy, looking to make this the year of the Gator. The road has delivered George Mason and Florida to Indianapolis. Tonight, nothing is impossible. Nothing that youth cannot overcome. In our nation's heartland, a 40-minute fight for a shot at college basketball's ultimate prize. The Final Four has arrived. From the great city of Indianapolis, the Final Four just minutes away. These four, they've all overcome their own adversities, disbelievers, and they've made it to college basketball's grandest stage. George Mason and Florida are first up, with later in the brackets, you'll see LSU and UCLA in the second game of the national semifinals. Inside the dome here again. Team's about to come back on the floor just minutes away. Hello, friends. Jim Nance and Billy Packer. One of the great times of the whole year, minutes before the first tip-off, Billy. Everybody's happy. They're hopeful. There's goodwill in the air. Everybody believes for their team it's their time.
And I'm confused, Jim. I've never been so uncertain about what we're about this games. This George Mason has been amazing. I don't think any of the other three teams here could have marched through the opponents they did, so you got to give them a shot.
The Mason Miracles. Let's take a closer inspection here, Billy. The Cinderella men and how they have made their way here, Billy.
Well, it is amazing. They are the Cinderella men. They have been making big shots at the right time and really pulling together. Without question, they've played a very tough road to get here. They play it with outstanding defense and great spacing in their offensive set. This is a team that really pulls together, and all five starters all have excellent balance.
Well, this idea that they can all score in double figures also applies to Florida, all starting five here in double figures.
Right, I tried to go back a long way. I haven't remembered two teams that have everybody scoring in double figures, but Noah has been the man. Joakim Noah in every respect. And there you have Lee Humphrey. They've got some guys that can shoot from the outside. Corey Brewer also is a guy that can step outside and hit the shot. This is a team that is well-versed. And then you have Kareem Green. Explode, but says green means go. There's no stopping this young man when he gets on a tear.
Billy, let's go through some X's and O's. We saw Florida last week in Minneapolis, and this really stood out to you. The Alligator Alley.
Well, what stands out is that the big men can handle the ball in the backcourt as well. Here we'll see the ball go into Horford. And take a look at what happens right here. Noah, it comes down the center of the floor, running the full distance of the court to finish off inside. Their big men can play on both ends of the floor.
All right, Billy, we're inching closer to semifinal number one. George Mason in Florida on CBS.
I know, I'm a horrible person for not moving my old 401k, but digging out the paperwork, filling out the application, picking the right investments, the thought of it exhausts me. And with everything going on at work, the last thing I need is a second job.
Good news. I got promoted.
Better news. I got DirecTV. My new office has a clear view for miles. My DirecTV has 155 crystal clear channels. I have a $1,700 expense account. I have over 1,700 movies every month. I meet with the CEO every Friday. I meet the Fockers whenever I want. I just got an assistant. I just got 3 months of HBO, Star, Showtime, and Cinemax for free. Can you give me the number for DirecTV? No. I don't think she heard me.
Get over 155 channels for $29.99 a month. That's half the price of cable. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
Look out! What a finish! A tradition unlike BS. We're back inside the RCA Dome, Florida, when the Final Four was here last, back in 2000. Made it to the Dome, made it to the championship night before Michigan State won the title. You see Joakim Noah, most outstanding player over in Minneapolis. Let's bring in Dan Bonner. Dan?
Thank you, Jim. You know, you can count the Florida Gators among those impressed with George Mason's tournament run, specifically the versatility of the Patriots. As a result, the Gators on flexibility. They're going to try a little bit of press to see if that works. They're going to try some trap to see if that works. And the Florida staff is very confident in the ability of their players to figure it out. While they are young, they have never played young. Jim, it ought to be interesting.
It will indeed, Dan. This Mason team is loose. They were out here taking pictures about 15 minutes ago, soaking up the scene. Tip-off coming up.
CBS Sports exclusive coverage of the men's national semifinals is sponsored by IBM, Fidelity Investments, Bud Light, and by Chevrolet.
And now let's meet the starting lineups. At forward for George Mason, a 6'7" sophomore from Baltimore, Maryland, number 34, Will Thomas. At forward for Florida, a 6'8" sophomore from Portland, Tennessee, number 2, Corey Brewer. At forward for George Mason, a 6'7" senior from Aberdeen, Maryland, number 55, Jai. At forward for Florida, a 6'11" sophomore from New York, New York, number 13, Joakim Noah. At guard for George Mason, a 6'1" senior from Tacoma Park, Maryland, number 1, Tony Skinn. At center for Florida, a 6'9" sophomore, Dominican Republic, number 42, Al Horford. At guard for George Mason, a 6'2" senior from Fort Washington, Maryland, number 22, Lamar Butler. At guard for Florida, a 6' sophomore from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, number 11, Torian Green. Mason, a 6'4" sophomore from Silver Spring, Maryland, number 42, Folarin Campbell. And at guard for Florida, a 6'2" junior from Maryville, Tennessee, number 12, Lee Humphrey. The head coach of George Mason is Jim Larrañaga. And the head coach of Florida is Billy Donovan.
These two coaches, both from Providence College, both in the Providence College Hall of Fame. Donovan and Larrañaga. And Billy Packer, your pregame final analysis.
Well, something's got to give here. You've got Florida, the #1 field goal shooting team in the country. George Mason, the best field goal shooting percentage defense in their conference. Somebody has got to figure out who gets the advantage there. Gator Gifts, they are shooting 81.8% from the foul line, have 186 more free throws than their opponents, but George Mason has kept people off the foul line, a very important factor in this ball game. The balancing act, Jim, we talked about it at the very top. Both teams aim, you don't very seldom see that, if ever. And Noah's numbers, he has been truly outstanding in this tournament, averaging 17.3 a game. Reminds me of the great run Vernon Maxwell had for Florida back in '87 when he was averaging over 25 points a game. But Noah has been outstanding in every phase of basketball.
This game brought to you in HDTV by Harris Corporation, world leader in broadcast systems for high-definition television and mobile media. Dick Hartnell, the officiating trio, and Gary Maxwell, the alternate. You know, Billy, you get to this point right before it all gets started. There's always nervous energy in the building, but I've really kind of felt there's even more. With all, you even said it, the unknown with George Mason, this incredible run through the tournament, knocking off the last 2 national champions on their way to Indianapolis, and to see how they're going to perform here today.
And Jim, the thing that gives you a great deal of interest is the fact that they had 16-2 against North Carolina. We know about the Connecticut comeback to put in overtime. They were never dismayed. It's going to be an interesting matchup here.
Final 4 underway, and jumping over really to steal it is Campbell of George Mason.
Nice timing by Thomas on the jump. Spreading things out.
This is a patient group that will wait for the right shot. Thomas, who has been a star in this tournament, pushing it over and blocked right away by Noah. That's his 20th block in this NCAA tournament.
Well, in Noah and Horford, they have the two best shot blockers in Florida history, and they really help each other out coming from the weak side often.
They inbound with 15 on the shot clock. Noah sending an early message.
Great switch by Horford, and then gets back on Lewis.
Butler looking up, knowing he's fighting the shot clock. Has to put one up over.
Well, yesterday he said, have you played in a dome? No, I've never even been in one. The first shot he took was an air ball. No air ball there.
But you noticed in the pregame warm-ups, it looked like he had made some good adjustments.
He really did. He was very confident in his shot. He's been smiling from the time he got to Indianapolis.
That's nothing new for Butler. It's Brewer. He'll take the three. Back of the rim and plucked out of there by Horford. Back to Brewer. Over to Horford. Got an open man. Humphrey loves the corner. Just pulls it down.
But did you see when Horford hit Lewis for the first time? Lewis never moved. Referee got in the way that time. Unfortunate for George Mason.
Off the foot of Campbell. Humphrey stops, plants, shoots, gets it this time from three.
Important shot for Billy Donovan. By hitting that shot, he can get into his press and see if he can wear this team down with superior numbers.
You're talking about wearing it down. This is a George Mason team that really relies on its starting five so much. Norwood will come in as the sixth man. Look at Lewis out and rebound over to Noah.
Everybody on this team, talking about George Mason, in the starting team plays over 30 minutes a game. And we know how this young Florida team can run.
And that's deflected out by George Mason. Still belongs to Florida. Now, George Mason, in its overtime win against UConn, as you see Coach Larinaga, the starters went almost the last 11 full minutes of regulation and all 5 minutes of overtime without a substitution. Almost unheard of.
Enables them not to go ahead and exude energy that is not positive, particularly if you watch Jai Lewis play.
Brewer. Campbell right in his face. Noah on the follow, banks it in.
Lewis out of position that time, didn't go for the block out. We know how long Noah is. You've got to get a body on him.
So 5 unanswered for Florida. After an opening basket by George Mason. It's Butler shooting again, hitting again. He's got both hoops now for the Patriots.
Got Humphrey in the air. Good step back jumper, 2 in a row. Lewis is going to have to realize that these two big men from Florida are really quick. He's going to have to get in position on all shots taken.
Tangled bodies, skin hits the floor, back up, no whistle. Noah takes the jumper, no good. And Butler lost it off his fingertips, back to Florida. This road 2 for George Mason. You look at the 4 that it defeated on the way here, had collectively NCAA tournament wins. Mason, meanwhile, had never won a single tournament game before this year.
And not only that, Jim, all 3 coached by teams that have won national championships, so it's not like they hadn't been there before.
And Wichita State with Mark Turgeon, great young coach in that Missouri Valley. Such an impressive performance by that league all season and in the tournament.
Of course, Turgeon had been in the Final Four when he was at Kansas as a player.
That's right. With Larry Brown. There's the shot by Horford just in, and the rebound kicked back alive. Another big body for the Gators, 32. Horford. Jai Lewis trying to defend. Foul on Lewis. Basket goes and one.
Lewis got caught behind Horford. We know what this young man can do.
This is the one thing George Mason cannot afford, to get Lewis or Thomas in foul trouble. Meanwhile, the Gators through the Minneapolis bracket. And by the total of 65 points, the margins of victory combined, the large any of the 4 that made it here. That's significant because 6 of the last 10 teams that come here by the biggest margin go on to win the championship. Horford, 3-point play.
Jim, that one team Georgetown game came down to the wire, so that somewhat was the game that established the fact that they could win a close one. And here we have straight man-to-man. Both teams playing the man. Brewer is very long, co-defensive player of the year in the SEC this year, and is about 6 foot wingspan, so he usually gets matched up against a smaller guy and cause a lot of problems.
Yep, leads the team in steals and almost got one there, but it's back to the Patriots. It's Richard
looking to double over.
Lewis in the lane, and that move has worked all tournament long for Jai Lewis.
I think Horford should have come earlier on that double. He stayed back. Lewis got perfect position.
And this is going the other way. It's going against Horford.
Never got position on. You know, Lewis is funny to watch him warm up. When I say warm up, he doesn't even get a sweat. He really knows how to handle his energy. So experienced, fun to watch.
Richard stays on the floor and Noah in for Horford. Now Lewis knows that if there's no foul situation, he's going to go pretty much the whole way. So might as well conserve. Kick out to Skin. Three-point shot. No. Noah.
Can't get a better look than that because the double team was coming. Lewis does a terrific.
Green jumper, front of the rim, tapped out, and back to Green.
Too much quickness.
Got a three. Yes. Had the open three and the second chance.
MVP of the SEC tournament. Young man has had 9 20-point games. Not afraid, as we said. The sign shows go when it gets to Green. They're getting it inbounds into the low post. Very easy to Lewis.
Skin will drive in on him short again. And the Gators had the numbers. They'll still push it ahead.
Look at Noah run.
And look at that. Campbell was the one that got the hand in there to break it up and get it back for George Mason.
Good idea. Bad execution by Humphrey on that pass. Noah could have put that one away.
Going a long way without a whistle here. Under 15 minutes now.
And that's what George Mason would like, Jim. They don't want to see Florida getting on that foul line as they have been doing so well throughout this tournament.
10 on the shot clock. Beautiful drive. And the tip in, no. Batted around and Noah with those long arms. That great reach of his with a 4th rebound already. Humphrey planted again. Another three. No. Up high. Brewer. Looking around.
A lot of length on this Florida team, picking up a lot of these rebounds anytime it's contested in the pack.
You know, they've missed 7 shots, Billy, to this point, but gotten 6 offensive rebounds off the misses.
And that's with Noah out of the lineup right now. Horford out of the lineup right now. There's that length again.
Brewer, basket, counts, and a foul. Foul and a 3-point opportunity coming up. Sideline report. Coach Jim Larinaga. He took the job at George Mason April 1st, 1997, after 11 years at Bowling Green.
Where he was successful.
He was hugely successful, and a long-time assistant for Terry Holland, who gave him his first coaching job as an assistant at Davidson, followed Terry up to Virginia, was a part of the staff that was on 2 Final Four teams. Here's Brewer, not completing the 3-point play, and pulled down by Campbell. That last foul before the break was on Campbell.
Did not take the wide open jumper that he had. This team will play for the good possession.
That's off the bench and firing it. Gabe Norwood down and out. That one almost went from 3.
Another good look, however, for George Mason. They just got to start hitting some of those shots. And Jimmy give him no chance, except North Carolina had him down 16-2. And his team stayed in the ball game. Connecticut shot 57% in the first half. His team stayed in the game. So what I really worry about watching this game right now, however, if I'm George Mason, is the great length that Florida has done a job on offensive rebounds, but it makes shots, second shot opportunities almost non-existent for George Mason.
Well, the margin's now 10 after that 3-point shot. It was Brewer. Made it the other end, and Noah again gets almost every rebound when he's in the area.
As an example, one and done. On the other end of the floor, a shot, a rebound, another shot.
Humphrey feeds it in quickly, right back to Noah with the left hand short. And Thomas gets it back for the Patriots.
And for Thomas, he's going to see a rotation of 3 big men in that game, and he's probably going to have very little time to sit.
That's Sammy Hernandez setting a screen, number 50 for Mason. 3.5 minutes, the Patriots without a basket. Green with the quick hands reaching in on Norwood. There's Thomas. And a push-off call against Noah. That will be his first. And Mason, as an 11 seed, matches LSU of 86 as the lowest seeds ever to make it to the final.
Of course, LSU came into that knocking off some #1 seeds to get in there, just as this team has, knocking off Kentucky and Georgia Tech back in '86, as this team has knocked off the likes of North Carolina and Connecticut.
Butler back in for Skin. It's Thomas, open jumper, no. And Hernandez with the offensive glass, rejected. Second try, no. Noah influenced that one, and it's out to Humphrey.
Good call, Jim. Influence is the proper term. That long length shots right now for George Mason inside.
That's Walter Hodge over to Moss. These two just checked in for the Gators. Humphrey with a 3.
Not a good shot for him. He wasn't square at all on that one.
Mason has now missed its last 8 shots. Butler on the dish. Underneath, needing help. Kick it around Hernandez. He's hit some big threes this season. And Campbell, a reach-in call on Hodge.
And it should be 2. Matter of fact, it might be 3. Was he beyond the 3-point line?
On the replay. Foul on Hodge. Mason shooting only 23% early. And the Gators have the double-digit lead. Trip to the Final Four. 4th overall. And his big men right now are controlling the inside, Billy.
They really are. They're too long for George Mason early in this ball game. They're getting good offensive rebounding, and they're altering a lot of shots on the inside in addition to those that they block. You know, Jim, we talked about 8 teams, or 8 years in a row, 2 teams from the same conference have gotten to the only twice in the 8 years has the winner come from the conference that put 2 teams in the Final Four. Back in 01, Duke did. In 2000, Michigan State was able to win. So percentage is not always there.
Let me just set this up here. There's going to be a 3-shot situation. Remember, Campbell was fouled by Hodge before they went to the break. So one more coming now. Just to counter that, though, Billy, this is the 3rd time the SEC has had 2 teams in the Final Four. 94 and 96, they had 2 teams in each of those Final Fours and had a champion team. Arkansas in 94, right. Kentucky in 96. So it hasn't been in recent form with the ACCs and the Big Tens, etc. But the SEC has a good track record of getting the eventual champion when they double up the 4 spots.
Rick Pitino doing the job, and Nolan Richardson at Arkansas.
Those free throws breaking an 8-0 Florida run. And Horford back on the floor. He's doubled up. Hodge.
Oh, nice help that time by Skin.
And a long rebound out to Skin. Taking on Hodge, putting up the shot. Yes! Tony Skin, the senior.
Oh, that was just great defense and then great push offense by Skin. He's got a lot of quickness. And he is going to have to offset this length of Florida with that quickness.
Florida right now with Noah and Brewer on the bench.
Green doesn't see a guy much quicker than him often, but I think that Skin can stay right with him.
In the Moss, the lone senior for the Gators. Turnaround shot well short. There's Skin again. After that great drive for a bucket, will step back.
Good patience. They do not want this in a run-shoot game. George Mason liked to keep the ball game in the 60s. Florida liked to get the game in the 80s.
Beautiful move. Giant Moss.
Moss says, how can 275 pounds evaporate in front of me? He went right under him. Excellent play.
That's 7 unanswered, Billy, right out of that break. Beginning with the 3 free throws.
Horford, too low. No call.
And saved by Norwood. What a save by Gabe Norwood.
Jim Larinaga telling Skin to keep pushing this ball up the floor. Now, he doesn't want to get in a run-shoot game, but he wants to take advantage.
And that's staying with George Mason. CBS Sports Line's Greg Doyle and Dennis Dodd provide analysis of tonight's game, plus follow along live scores and stats. Get video highlights after the game, both games, all at CBSSportsLine.com. Noah is back, so is Brewer for Florida.
Better get rid of it. Better get rid of it.
And
good
timeout
coverage.
call.
Good coverage by Florida.
Florida shooting only 33%. Mason was down 10.
Jim, some things jump out at you. I said Florida, the #1 field goal shooting team in the country, only shooting 33%. That 0, they did have 3 foul shots, but then that 10 second chance points by Florida is what's making up for poor field goal shooting percentage. They are really getting on the offensive glass.
These 2 teams on the hardwood for the first time together. They've never met. These 2 programs, will they stay hot? Talking about the Patriots, scoring 7 unanswered.
Look at that patience by Lewis.
And he's got 8 on the shot clock. Butler puts it up over Hodge. Pulled down by Lewis with 3 on the shot clock. And that's knocked out, and it's staying with George Mason.
Lewis really understands the space that he creates. Doesn't force anything. Twice now, holding that ball much too long. He's got to make the...
So hard to get it past. He's so long.
That's why you got to make the quick inbounds pass. The longer he waits, the more the defense can set up.
That Skin with the quickness. Thomas backing in on Noah. Batted down by Horford.
There's that length again, Jim, that we constantly talk about with this young Florida team.
What a combo. Noah and Horford. And Noah missing the shot, and Skin able to battle in there with Horford. Quiet here. No.
Smallest player on the floor. Didn't have his big men down inside for rebounding, but he got the open look.
Florida has been blank for over 4 minutes. Brewer off the glass ends the streak.
Just as we saw him make his only field goal in the second half against Georgetown. It was even maybe a more difficult shot than that one.
Unconventional.
Again, there's Brewer causing that same problem, Jim, on the inbounds with those long arms. A little behind the back pass by Lewis. Thank you.
Donovan said, wait a minute, was that not traveling? 8:20 to go in the half.
Tell you, as easy as it's been for George Mason to get that ball down and low to Lewis, I think they ought to stay with it. Horford's now trying to side him, because playing right behind him, the big man's been too good a target.
Lewis, tough pass, got all the way to the corner though. Skin steps in, shoots, hits.
And he got the SEC's co-defensive player in the year up in the air, which was not a good closeout by Brewer against a man that small. He didn't have to go off his feet.
So May Storm. And now Noah spinning, and first a push-off foul against George Mason.
I think it's going to be Thomas.
We don't get fooled again.
Oh, the second game tonight, LSU and UCLA. Two teams that stress defense, two coaches, that's what they preach. John Brady, Ben Howland. LSU, UCLA, later.
Two teams that have been to the Final Four on multiple occasions, and of course the greatest tradition of all in the Final Four is UCLA. The 11 championships, 10 by the great John Wooden.
It'll be Florida ball, and Billy, you said it, Thomas was called for that foul going to the break with 7:46 to go in the half.
Bounds being guarded by Skin as opposed to being guarded by Brewer with those long arms.
Florida now has Horford on the bench, and it's Richard down low with Noah. Noah driving into traffic.
Great help by Thomas.
Whip pass, tough one, and Thomas pulls it off.
Two excellent defensive plays by Thomas. His anticipation there was perfect.
Campbell driving, puts up the wild shot, and it goes.
That was over Noah. He had all of the...
Brewer with the three. Brewer with the last 5 for the Gators.
The silence of Brewer has not been that big in the NCAA tournament.
He's got 10 in this one already, 10 of their 21.
Matter of fact, he sat a lot in the ball game. Remember, Jim?
Yep. And Lewis's shot too strong.
Pretty nice job by Richard not fouling on that play. Again, Lewis, good inside position.
But George Mason so quick to get back and in position.
Well, one of the things that this team has that's very good is they have excellent balance going from offense back to defense.
That's Brewer.
Campbell moving his feet and gets it.
It's Skin. Driving in on Richard. Takes it to the other side and converts. 6 for Tony Skin.
So many college players now are using that rim to shield off that shot blocker. Good job with the left hand.
Noah over Thomas. This time he hits it.
And that's as good a defense as you can play on Noah. You're not going to block his shot because of that length, and he can go right or left.
Noah coming off 21 points, 15 boards, knocking out #1 seed Villanova. Last Sunday, steal, Green, Skin defending, and the foul on
Normally Green would blow by somebody in an open break like that, but Skin stayed right with him with his speed. Good steal, quick hands.
He'll send Green to the line to shoot a couple.
Second team All-SEC player, and as I mentioned, the MVP of the SEC tournament, where he was truly outstanding.
Just a sophomore from Boca Raton. His first ever game last year when he was a freshman. And college at Florida was against his father's team. He was the head coach. There he is, Sidney Green.
Great player for Jerry Tarkanian at UNLV.
Spent this last season right here in Indiana as an assistant to Mike Davis and the Hoosiers. And Green hits both.
I saw him last night. I said, "You got anything working in the future?" He said, "Yeah, tomorrow night's game." That's as far as we're looking ahead.
Spoken like a true coach. Skin taken off.
Oh, tough miss.
Boy, he had it opened.
For somebody to come over and put a little body on him, but a great opening.
Well, back in the lineup now is Horford for Florida, and for the first time they've got David Huertas, number 33.
Billy Donovan really going to his bench early in this ball game, Jim, taking away a little bit of the flow of his team.
And that's stolen away as Horford lost it underneath.
Well, you got to figure, when you know that George Mason plays 5 guys more than 30 minutes, it's not going to be a game where this team, because they are so intelligent the way they use their bodies, they're not going to wear down.
Butler wants to take for the shot.
That's his 3rd jumper of the game that he's used the fadeaway shot. Nice job by a young guy that never has a smile off that face, whether he's making the shots or not.
He's loving it right now. All smiles as he created separation, hit the jumper. Florida now 9 players have seen action to amplify your point.
See, he knows that Humphrey's not going to go ahead and penetrate, so he lays off him when he's outside that jump shot range.
Green, tough shot, 3.
Bad shot.
Butler underneath. He wants to go in again, but this time Humphrey cut him off.
Now you've got Butler and Skin thinking that maybe they can penetrate on the dribble against this team and do it again.
Tough pass, and out with it is Green. Kicks it over. Humphrey 3, no. Horford said, "I want it." Goes to the other side, and no again.
Lewis that got a piece. You notice Lewis is not even running down the floor.
Skin with the shot. Oh, and the foul. George Mason continues to amaze. Foul on Humphrey. We'll be right back.
I was the first African-American basketball player to come to LSU. My oldest son played. My youngest son is playing now.
That's my old locker right here. He'd be at all the games. I used to look at him every time I made a play and what needed to be done.
It's very exhilarating to see your sons participate. I'm Carlos Temple, and I love college basketball.
Coming up, Singular at the half with Greg Gumbel, Clark Kellogg, Seth Davis. First half analysis and the awarding of the Player and Coach of the Year. And a Singular Naismith update all coming up. Singular at the half. George Mason University, the largest university in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Bigger than the University of Virginia, the northern branch for the school back in '57. Went independent of that in 1972. They have a student body count total of 28,000 students.
And they're breaking all kind of marks. You know, they had never won an NCAA tournament game before this tournament. They were 0-17 against Atlantic Coast Conference schools before beating North Carolina. Actually, it's the first time a school has gotten to the Final Four since Georgia made it in '83 that had never won an NCAA tournament game. And Larinaga was with as an assistant coach when they got to the Final Four, having never won an NCAA tournament game. So Jim Larinaga has some Final Four history behind him. High pass.
That's one of the few times Noah was never able to reach out and grab it. It was too high. Norwood chasing it down. Skin after the free throw, trimming it to 1. And George Mason has a chance to take the lead. 18-9 stretch.
Got the ball way outside. Lewis wants it inside and gets it.
Turnaround short. And Horford with a reach in on Hernandez of the Patriots.
And Lewis ought to forget that shot, Jim. He does so much better when he takes it to the hoop, because he can not only get to the foul line, but those shot blockers are going to be able to alter his shot when he tries the half hook going away. They won't block it, but they will alter it.
Green back in. And for the first time since about maybe the 15-minute mark, all 5 starters on the floor at the same time for Florida.
Well, you can see, and I don't know if it's been effective. Matter of fact, I think it's had a negative effect in this first half, and that is playing a lot of people. We pointed out that this George Mason team's starters play over 30 minutes a game. Billy trying to wear him down and get to the second half, but it's taken away some continuity.
Shot inside, no good by Green, and last touched by the Green of George Mason.
Hernandez had it and got away from him.
Well, Florida had a stretch, Billy, already in this half, 4.5 minutes without a field goal, and now they've got another one going without a basket.
They've kind of gotten away from going to that high-low with Noah and Horford. I think that's where they can really be effective. They got into the jump shooting business here.
Noah working hard for it, but travels.
One of the things that George Mason big men are doing a good job, Lewis and Thomas, they stay on the floor. They really make a guy in the low post work for that shot. Don't get out of position.
They've created 8 Gator turnovers. It's a little 2-man game that works so well against UConn, Butler and Lewis.
See how Lewis sees the whole floor? Terrific.
Just like that. Yep. But blocked as Thomas went up with it, and they say it was off Thomas.
Well, one of the reasons that they don't have to double down and help Horford out, and that allows Noah, in that particular case, be that weak side shot blocker. Normally teams would be doubling down there, and Thomas would have been wide open for the shot.
Pretty good pass by Jai Lewis.
Excellent. He sees the whole floor.
Dish. And Horford races out to the top to get it. Green launching, hits the 3.
That's a kind of rebound that the smaller George Mason team cannot afford to let go Florida's way, because Florida's going to get those right at the rim. The long rebounds, that's the case where with Skin out of the game, he probably would have picked that one off.
Norwood. Jump shot, too strong.
Oh, how about that catch?
Undercut. Lewis. And a foul underneath, and the undercut was on Humphrey. Near the end of this game, we'll select a Chevrolet player of the game from each team. Chevrolet makes a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund. America's brand, supporting America's best Chevy and American Revolution. Humphrey has 2, and you said what a catch by Lewis, former high school tight end, who has been getting some consideration from as a possible Antonio Gates-like player, or Wesley Duke, who made the Broncos roster this year as a former college basketball player, not football.
Well, when you put Peyton Manning up to ask him if he'd like to be an NFL football player, he said, I can catch the ball. He said, but can you block?
That's right.
I imagine with his size he can.
Campbell in the lane, unchallenged.
One of the things that is jumping out at me as this game goes on, George Mason has been able to drive the ball down the gut without getting it blocked. Even a guy like Skin missed that one that he had a wide open look.
Noah's 3rd jumper of the game. He's missed all 3. And that's last touch by George Mason. Great attempt at the save by Campbell.
Chairman of the board, former
That's right.
assistant coach with Jim Larinaga.
Yeah, Craig Littlepage, the chair of the committee.
Trying to do anything he can to help his old buddy, huh?
Making another good catch, another good pick.
They were on the staff when the great Ralph Sampson in #1 Virginia lost that game. Talk about some low points in your career. That had to be an all-timer, but no low point for Jim Larinaga on this run.
38 seconds to go in the half, and Green says, you're going to give it to me? I'll take it.
You know, Jim, one of the interesting Skin, and you were looking right at his eyes were looking for the pass.
Uh-oh, and on the inbounds pass, turned over back to Florida.
Bradford.
This could be a disastrous stretch here in the closing minute of the first half.
And all kinds of problems out there on inbounds passes with that long wingspan.
Florida's hit 6 threes in the game, leading by 5. Billy Donovan, and you remember him as a player, Billy, in '87, taking Providence to the Final Four. The story I love is that as a freshman, he averaged 2 points a game. As a sophomore, 3 points a game.
Right.
Then a new coach came to town, Rick Pitino. And look what blossomed.
Told him to drop 30 pounds and take on a work ethic, and from that point on, he was out as a junior, and of course, the great 20-point performance, SEC of the Southeastern Regional, in the Final Four appearance as a senior.
With a turnover, and Florida can get the last shot. Got the big three by Green, then the turnover, a little miscommunication by George Mason on the inbounds. Now with 12 on the shot clock.
Skin will not take his eyes off of Green on this possession, I can assure you.
Green looking to drive, now looking for help. It's Brewer. He puts it up from 3 and it's short. Rebound Butler. And Butler lost it with 1.2 to go.
There was a case where Butler probably wasn't aware of how little time there was left. There's no time for him to penetrate down the court. Probably should have just held on to the ball.
Let's see what the architect here, Donovan, sends in on the inbounds with 1.2. They look to the inside, nothing there. Noah has to put up a 3. And it's a no-go. He had not made one from 3 all season long. So it's a 5-point margin at halftime. It had swelled to 10 early. And then Mason closed to within 1. Only to sit in the last seconds to make that difference 5. Torian Green with 11 leads all scores. And let's go over to Dan Bonner.
Thank you, Jim. Billy, I know your game plan was to try to be flexible, try things, see what worked. What worked, what didn't work?
Well, I think that we're trying to just stay off, keep them off balance a little bit with our post defense. Obviously, you can't sit there and just play isolation one-on-one the whole game. So sometime we've trapped, sometime we've held it off. They've done a good job, I think, defensively, trying to make us shoot the ball from over top. Torian Green's made some threes, but we've got to continue to try to work inside. Thank you, Dan.
Jim.
That's the end of the first half with the score Florida 31, George Mason 26. CBS Sports continues after this message and a word from your local station.
To trailing in this tournament, but Florida provides a different kind of an obstacle, and it starts on the boards.
It certainly does. Let's call it threes and reads when you talk about what Florida's been able to do. They've controlled the backboard, and they've also made threes. Second shot opportunities. Horford going to miss here. Richard giving his team a chance to get another score. Another miss, another offensive rebound. Length and quickness to the ball, and then three-point shooting. Florida plus 18 in 3 points. Three-pointers in the game. They've made 6. George Mason has made none. That's the difference in the ball game. The rebounds on the offensive glass and the three-point shooting. Torian Green again. Off a second shot opportunity. Corey Brewer has been terrific at 6'7". George Mason really doesn't that can bother his shot. Torian Green, no ball pressure. Tony Skin a little too small. Torian Green, Corey Brewer doing it from behind the arc.
Big double nickel. Jai Lewis also letting his presence be known inside, always against a taller defender. That one goes over Chris Richard at 6'8". Throw someone bigger on him, 6'9". Adrian Moss, the nice drop step in the roll in. He's only got 4 points, but he does have 5 rebounds, and he is, as I said, letting his presence be known. And how about the way Tony Skin has gotten out on the breaks? George Mason actually doing a better job at scoring the ball, Clark, which is a little bit of a surprise. Clark also mentioned the fact they have yet to score a three-pointer. George Mason is 42% from behind the arc in the tournament. I think they got to feel pretty good, only being down 5, 0 for 4 from 3.
As you look at some numbers for Tony Skin and Corey Brewer, Florida plus 7 in the rebounding department. Second chance points, they're killing George Mason 16-4 at this stage. Once again, our halftime score, Florida leading it 31-26. Now, named in honor of Dr. James Naismith, the man who invented basketball, the Naismith Trophy is given each year to college basketball. Time for a look at 2 of the 4 finalists for this year's Naismith Trophy, presented by Singular. Seth?
Yeah, 2 very familiar faces, Greg. Rudy Gay, the sophomore forward from UConn, averaged 15 points and 6.5 rebounds a game. A big part of UConn's march to the Elite Eight. And, of course, J.J. Redick from Duke, the ACC's all-time leading scorer, Duke's all-time leading scorer, and the most prolific three-point shooter in ACC history. A fantastic career for the Duke Blue Devils.
And remember, you can now be part of college basketball history. Text the word VOTE to 8765 2006 Naismith Trophy. The fans' vote will count for 25% of the total. It is springtime. That can mean just one thing: time for the presentation of the Chevy Player and Coach of the Year awards. Past recipients of the Players Award include Michael Jordan of North Carolina, Kenyon Martin of Cincinnati, and Andrew Bogut of Utah. Coaches honored in the past include Mike Krzyzewski of Duke, Tubby Smith of Kentucky, and Bruce Weber of Illinois. And now, Leslie Visser with this year's winners.
Today we conclude the Chevrolet Scholarship Program for the 2006 season by presenting the awards for Player and Coach of the Year as selected by the CBS Sports staff. And we're very pleased to have Ed Pieper, the General Manager of Chevrolet, with us to help present these honors. Ed, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Leslie. It's great to be with you as Chevrolet, America's #1 brand, salutes the #1 player and coach in NCAA basketball. For 36 years, the Chevrolet Scholarship Program has donated close to $9 million to funds of America's colleges and universities. Along with our 4,200 dealers nationwide, it's Chevrolet's way of giving back to the communities across this great country. And today, we pay tribute to the achievements of the best in NCAA college basketball. First is our Chevrolet Player of the Year. It's Gonzaga's Adam Morrison.
Junior forward Adam Morrison led Gonzaga to the West Coast Conference Championship this year, record. Morrison was also the NCAA's leading scorer this season, averaging more than 28 points per game. In fact, Adam scored 30 or more points 13 times this year and topped the 40-point mark 5 times. He's been named a 2006 All-America and the West Coast Conference Player of the Year. Adam is also a candidate for the Wooden Player of the Year award.
Adam, congratulations on an outstanding season. It's my pleasure to present you with this Chevrolet Player of the Year, and a $5,000 scholarship donation will be made in your honor to Gonzaga University.
I'd just like to thank Chevrolet and CBS, and you know, it's a great honor, and you know, I'm proud to be named Chevrolet Player of the Year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now let's turn our attention to the Chevrolet Coach of the Year. In 5 seasons, he's guided his team to more than 100 total wins and back-to-back visits to the Sweet 16. He's Villanova's Jay Wright.
Jay Wright was the 2000 of the year, leading Villanova to a co-championship during the regular season. His Wildcats compiled a 25-4 record and were never ranked lower than 8th in 2006. They entered the NCAA tournament as the #1 seed in the Minneapolis region. When he arrived as head coach in 2001, Jay Wright established an attitude of playing hard, playing with passion, and playing with pride in representing Villanova. That 101 victories since that time and the respect of the college basketball world.
Coach Wright, congratulations on an incredible season. I'm proud to present you with this trophy as the Chevrolet Coach of the Year, and a $5,000 scholarship donation will be made in your honor to Villanova University.
Thank you very much, Ed, and thank you to everybody at Chevrolet for everything they do for college basketball, and for everyone at CBS for voting for us, and especially I want to thank our whole family at Villanova that supports our team so well. This is a great honor that I accept.
Congratulations to both Adam Morrison and to you, Jay Wright, and thanks again, Ed, to you and to Chevrolet for your long-standing commitment to college athletics and academics through the Chevrolet Scholarship Program.
All right, Leslie, thank you. We had our congratulations as well. A little recent history. You both picked Florida in this game. Does the first half surprise you as George Mason surprised you at all?
Not at all. I mean, you knew this team was going to compete. They've been down before. They've really done a nice job considering they have not made any three-point field goals. The reach short of their big guys have to finish a little better inside, and they need to make a few threes to really make it tight the rest of the way.
Yeah, as I said, George Mason doing a great job in transition defense. That's going to be a huge key for them in the second half. But I think that Joakim Noah really needs to settle down to get back to doing what he does best, and that is close to the basket. He's only got 4 points right now. He does have 7 rebounds, but only 1 offensive rebound. You've got Torian Green is hot, Corey Brewer's hot. Let those guys play on the perimeter. If Noah can get inside, not only can he score there in the post to maybe create some foul trouble for George Mason, but he can get a lot of blasts, but he's got to be near the rim to be able to do that.
Go ahead, Clark.
I like George Mason's ability to run the ball in the full court game, because that way they don't allow Florida's size to become as much of a factor. They've got to do that more if they're going to have a chance to pull the upset.
A little more history for you. 21 years ago tonight, Villanova knocked off Georgetown. Is this a night for the underdog? We shall see. Thank you for joining us on Singular at the Half, everyone. Jim and Billy are back with the second half of George Mason in Florida here on CBS right after this.
And Singular at the Half, sponsored by Singular, raising the bar. Coca-Cola. And by Pontiac.
About to begin the second half. 16 of Florida's 31 points coming on second chance opportunities. And Billy, let's take a look at our Pontiac game changer.
Well, got to get the ball inside more and try to get to the foul line, and this is how it can happen. And Billy Donovan talked about playing in different ways, but there was a case where the big man, Jai Lewis, just turned on him and wheeled to the basket, something that George Mason has to do again.
Billy, let's check out your points at the beginning and how they're faring.
Something's got to give, and right now Florida not shooting anywhere near their seasonal average. The gifts, and this is amazing. This George Mason team held Michigan State 3 of 5 field goals, North Carolina 4 of 4. The Gators not getting the line. Pretty good by both teams. And Noah's numbers, not quite the numbers we've seen, but still pretty good across the board.
It'll be Florida to inbound to start the second half, and a little warning here. The Mason team in the wins against Carolina and UConn came out of the locker room in the second half and just went crazy. They have had huge second half runs in those 2 wins. Let's see what they do here.
They start off doubling. Brewer doesn't realize it. Wide open. Now Humphrey wide. Adjustment that time by Florida.
That's the second 3 of the night for Humphrey.
I don't think we'll see Jim Larinaga try too many traps against this Florida team. That was just something coming out here in the second half. They were able to, North Carolina's first 7 possessions in the second half, they created 6 turnovers, and that's what they were trying to do there. Didn't work.
Lewis backing in, and Noah comes over and absolutely swats it. Up ahead, Green to Noah. Can Humphrey hit a second one? Starts the half with 2 huge threes, and the Gators have their largest lead of the night.
You want a shooter to keep shooting even if he's slow in the first half. Good job by Humphrey.
Timeout, George Mason. At the opening ceremony event here, all the teams showed up and a surprise guest was Peyton Manning. And Lee Humphrey idolizing Peyton since he was a young boy growing up in Maryville, Tennessee, right outside of Knoxville. Got a chance to come on the stage and meet his hero. It was quite a moment, wasn't it, Billy?
It really was. And that young man is the new record holder of Florida for 3-point shooting in a season. He's now up to 106.
2 big ones to start this half. First 6 points of the second half to the Gators.
And you know what he wants to do, because 30 of his 230-some shots have been inside the 3-point line, so he is going to put it up from outside even when he has a cold first half like 1 for 5 tonight.
That's Jai Lewis battling inside and drawing a second foul on Noah. No issue in the first half on either side, Billy, when it came to fouls, and the only player in fact on the floor that had 2 fouls until Noah just joined him was Humphrey. So
well, the issue to me was the fact that Florida was not being able to get to the line. They're an excellent free throw shooting team. This tournament, George Mason has kept their opponent off the foul line.
You know, I thought a big concern here for Mason would be playing inside the dome and shooting outside the arc. They were 50% in the games in Washington. As Lewis battles in, and maybe another quick one on Noah. Will it be Noah or Horford? It's Horford. And that's his second. Noah's had a number of blocks again tonight. 4.
Most of them have been when he's on the weak side coming over to help out, as he did right there. Just got by with there. The Florida players have to understand he's bringing 275 pounds at him. When he starts to back down like that, you have to almost go for the flop play, because you're not going to be strong enough to hold off that charge of his.
And Richard coming in, Noah out. So another big body comes in. They can rotate those 3, Richard, Noah, and Horford, for the 2 spots.
But it takes away from the offensive maneuverability that Noah gives you on the other end of the floor.
I was going to say, Billy, finish that thought about shooting in a dome. 0 for 5 thus far tonight from outside the arc. Humphrey loads it up.
Got that shooter's feel
for the 3rd time in the half. All 9 of Florida's points in the half.
How positive does that look? And against Arkansas at the SEC tournament's opening round, he had 25 points. So some big numbers.
Brewer almost got the breakaway. And they're going to bring in Norwood on the Patriots side. And staying to the bench.
Staying back with Humphrey. He started off this NCAA tournament 6 of 8 threes against South Alabama. So he is a weapon unlike any other weapons they have. Green, a little bit more versatile offensively. Humphrey's out there strictly for 2 things. He's an excellent defender against the ball, and he's a terrific spot shooter.
He's shooting against South Alabama, knocked out John Pelfrey's team, a former Donovan assistant.
Nice ball fake.
And Lewis puts it up and does not get the generous roll. That certainly looked like it was going down. Green fakes the three, and now the push-off call against Campbell.
And there's the difference between Humphrey and Green. Green's a good outside shooter, Humphrey a great one, but Green will penetrate with the ball, whereas Humphrey will not. You have to play them entirely differently.
Humphrey got free.
Ooh, he wanted that ball.
There
he still got it.
No one comes up. Fouled by Campbell. And that's 3 on Campbell. Good news, America. The Amazing Race moving to a new day and time. Wednesday at 8, 7 Central on America's #1 network.
Jim Campbell has to read that scouting report a little better, because when that ball is going to be thrown out to Humphrey, you know what he's going to do with it. He is not going to pump fake you, put it on the floor, and go by. So the closeout by Campbell had to be much better from a standpoint of under control.
And again, even more to go.
Now, this is the craziest thing. The best three-point shooter that Florida has, and the worst foul shooter. I cannot believe last year as a freshman, he shot 56%. This year, he's only 14 for 24. Now he's 14 for 26, shooting 58%. He ought to shoot jump shots from the top of the key just inside the line there and forget about shooting foul shots. I guarantee you he can shoot more than 58%.
Just move the free throw back.
Yeah, just go step back, shoot at your feet.
Works the lead up to 13. Campbell has a strip, and Humphrey comes away with the steal.
That's Brewer again with those long hands.
Bounce past Green, and he lost control of it, had to put it up wildly. Campbell with a 3, and no, they still haven't hit one.
He had to make that shot because he had no one under. This is the kind of game Florida would like to play, even with Noah out of the ball game.
Get this helter-skelter pace going.
Oh, absolutely.
And a savvy move by Green. He saw Jai challenge the big man and waited for the Gators to reset as much as they wanted to go up tempo.
And what that pattern does is really make Lewis work in a game that he doesn't want to have to run up and down the floor with that pace.
That was a kick, and with the shot clock at 11 this year, they moved the reset anything under 15 back to 15. So if they go from 11 to 15 to work with, Gators to inbound underneath.
Jim, that last shot by Campbell, he's down 13. He cannot afford to take that shot and up this tempo.
Green lost control of it again and able to make the steal right back. Pass cross court. Brewer baseline. And shot clock expires, but the officials.
I think they're going to give him a few tenths of a second. That ball was slapped by Lewis out of bounds. And I think that it's going to give Florida a chance. Let's see. Because the horn sounded after the ball went.
I'm going to say shot clock violation, and it's going back to George Mason.
Maybe a little bit too close. It'd have been tenths of a second anyway.
And now George Mason brings in Jordan Carter for the first time, number 2, a sophomore from right here in Indianapolis.
So we have Norwood and Carter into the ball game. Starters getting a little rest.
Thomas backing in now, put the shot up. Horford blocks it.
Thomas has not scored tonight, and he has more than half of his shots altered.
No question. What a hustle effort by Horford to chase it down and rifle it over to Richard to get it back for the Gators.
Horford in great shape.
And contested, driving in, banks it in.
You sense that there's a little weariness coming right now from a standpoint of Thomas and Lewis in this ballgame. Just that spurt that took place when they're going up and down the floor took a lot out of them.
Billy, George Mason is down by his lark. They had trailed Carolina by 14 early in that game. Thomas off the back, no good, but now 15 down in the second half.
Fatigues makes cowards of us all, and that's what's happening right now with George Mason. You see the reach on defense by Lewis instead of moving his feet.
Knocked out, it'll come back to Florida out of the break. Mason 0 for 6 from the field to start the second half, and no threes on the night. Not so for Humphrey. From 3, and Lee Humphrey, what a difference he's made. Meanwhile, 0 for 6 for Mason. Green hit him in the first half, Billy.
And then Humphrey spotting up beautifully. There was a case where Butler let him alone, turned his head. You've got to stay with him. He is not going to put the ball on the floor. And as I said before, the leading three-point shooter this year, setting a new record for a season at Florida, beating Anthony Roberson's record in 04 of 99. He's up to 100.
And there he goes. Getting up the shot short this time, and Green, anticipation.
And he was moving on that shot a little bit, Jim. He likes much better to just be spotting up and getting in on a kick out.
And travel against Noah.
Noah's a guy with so much energy. You know, he's been sitting on that bench and he just wanting to get that motor started right away.
His father, by the way, is here. He has come in for the Final Four. Had a big concert last weekend in Paris. Watched his son's games on satellite from a studio in France.
The first time he saw his son play, his son had 37 points and 11 rebounds. So let's see if that picks him up.
That was against Georgia, March 1. Thomas now with Noah defending, and this time it drops. Will Thomas, who's had 3 double-doubles in the NCAA tournament, matching his total number of double-doubles from the regular season. Noah at the other end, and yes, guess who's cheering?
There is that motor running, Jim, when he is so quick and so long. Terrific finisher. About the only thing missing in his game, he does not have good style and technique on his shot. I'm talking about the jump shot or foul shot.
Thomas scored the last time down the floor and pitches it back out. Butler sends it back in. And Thomas unlucky with the roll, and out comes Brewer.
Nice job.
Yeah, Norwood with a second steal in this game.
Brewer would much rather be on the wing than being the guy in the center handling the ball on the break. Should have got that ball back to Green.
There's Noah coming in the lane with Richards setting him up with the assist.
Such a good finisher.
David Huertas is in, 33, defending the inbounds pass for the Gators. Butler
starting to take some desperation shots, not the kind of shots that'll get you back in this ball game.
Noah and Thomas battling at this end, and Noah scores off the glass.
He's going to make Thomas's life kind of miserable right now because he knows that there's not going to be help from Lewis coming over on the weak side like there is for Horford. When the ball goes down in Florida's case, Noah comes over to help.
Not the largest lead number to 17.
And where George Mason plays the best is when they don't have to play in a panic. Right now they're changing how they face opponents, and this is not good for them.
And Brewer lost it. Back to Mason it goes. Tomorrow on CBS, don't miss a new episode of the hit drama Cold Case after 60 minutes on America's #1 network. Well, we saw Jai Lewis launch a 3-hit, several during the season, so that's not a shock to us out there. Right. But the team 0 for 8, Billy, tonight.
They made 16 threes on the course of the year, and when you watch him in practice, he's a pretty nice release from out there. But who's underneath when he's taking a 3? The answer is no one that can get a rebound.
Look at that pass. Jai Lewis was double-teamed. Thomas scores and is fouled.
And double-teamed is right, Jim, but double-teamed by the 2 big men from Florida, which allowed Thomas to be played by a smaller man inside. You see that good pass? There you can see Brewer.
What a nifty little pass here.
Beautiful. He threw that behind the back path. Jumps down as we see to Thomas. Brewer on the weak side of no help.
Will Thomas, a Baltimore kid, just a sophomore. They think that he's still got a couple more inches to grow. He has been quite a find for Coach Larrañaga. And last week when they beat UConn, he matched up against Rudy Gay, a player he had seen 7 times in high school. Now he's 8-0 all time against Rudy Gay.
Yeah, I don't care that you have a Connecticut uniform on. Guess what? Match up in the playground.
That's
I'll
right.
take it to you.
Good soft shot drops.
Kind of an underrated man coming off that bench for this Florida team and coming on strong.
That basket providing the first bench points of the game for either team.
And remember the bench points that Florida.
Look at Humphrey. Makes the steal behind the back. He goes to Green, and he'll come out of traffic. With quick hands, it was slipping away. Now to lob. And the foul against Campbell. So Florida to inbound when we come back, and the lead is 17. sitting in the stands watching a little bit here to close this one.
That's an unusual experience. Jim, you point 2 points of the game from the bench. And just think back in 2000 when Billy Donovan came to the Final Four. Remember coming into the Michigan State game, the Florida team had outscored their opponents. They had 183 bench points. Michigan State, which eventually won the national championship, only had 43 going into that championship game. So Billy Donovan showing that he can win ball games either way. And in this particular case, he said, I don't have the bench I had before. I used to play 10 players a lot. This team not that way, so.
Well, Noah obviously was in the act of shooting. We thought maybe they would say it was just a pass in there. Well, he cans the 2 free throws and it leads 51-32.
Now, if you're a team that loves to space, loves to use the clock, and loves to take high percentage shots, with this kind of deficit, it really kind of alters how you're playing your half-court game, which is not in George Mason's best interest here.
Thomas down low. And Noah, they say, got him on the hand. That's his third.
And you can see Billy Donovan changing up. Now he's playing just one-on-one in the low post. No help coming. Noah having a run in this tournament. Not tonight, Jim, but up to this point, kind of like Carmelo Anthony had, Danny Manning had, Magic Johnson had, Glenn Rice had. You know, where one player can just take a team in all phases of the game and carry them. He hasn't had to do that tonight, but up to this game, in this tournament, that's exactly what he's been doing.
Well, I think to this point,
I would say based on performance.
And they're going to sit him down with the 3. And you mentioned the 37-point performance that one his father saw. That was on March 1st. Long rebound out the skin. What a way to start March Madness, though. And truly just taken off from that date to this point now on April 1st.
And his granddad was there that night seeing him play for the first time as well. I don't think he made this trip, but it's good to see his father here.
Lewis this time, pass deflected, but they get it back. And Norwood with the ball. His brother Jordan Elliott, wide receiver for Penn State, caught 6 balls over 100 yards in the Orange Bowl this year. His father a coach for Joe Paterno, and that had to impress the family.
Oh, nice steal.
And Thomas is right there, but blocked by Horford. No, they say a foul.
Now, Horford has not made that kind of a mental breakdown on an inbounds pass in this tournament. He has been just outstanding, helping to get the ball up the floor. Big turnover.
So 3 on Horford, 3 on Noah. We talk about Horford. Dad, Tito Horford, who played professional ball not only here in the States, but over in Europe and South America also, and was originally recruited to the University of Houston, never ended up going there. Then LSU for a brief stay, never in uniform, only to go to Miami.
Well, the NCAA investigators were hot on his tail wherever he went. He was supposed to be the next Kareem Jabbar. He had a decent career, but certainly didn't fall into that category.
That's what they thought he was going to have. Here's Brewer left alone, and Lewis had gone for the steal. And he thunders it down.
Well, Lewis all by himself back there, Jim. Probably not a good gamble. You know what? If he doesn't get the steal, wide open layup. So he might have been better off staying down there, but you can't fault him for the effort.
Thomas again.
Just backing down on the inside.
And it comes out to Humphrey with the bounce pass through traffic.
What a catch.
What a catch. And Brewer is fouled. That was Horford who caught it and got it over to Brewer.
That was a brilliant catch. First of all, Horford running full speed. There was Brewer on that slam dunk there after Lewis tried to pick it off. But on that last play, Horford ran the length of the floor, was able to catch the ball down at his ankles and retrieve a real tough pass.
Second foul on Jai Lewis. Florida's hit 8 out of 9 shots to start the second half. Through it. Horford.
You notice how you don't move Lewis at all? He is anchored to that floor with that 275 pounds, and Horford is a strong man. And how about that catch?
And pass.
Right off the ankles. He's really got some soft hands.
Thomas again set up. Those short shots not dropping, but the second time he hung with it.
I think that Billy Donovan's going to change his strategy right here, because what's happening now, the ball's going into Thomas and to Lewis. Nobody is doubling down at all and putting the ball on the floor and taking it right to the basket.
Well, he's calling a timeout, and he was checking in Noah. We'll see him back on the floor. 53-38, 9:28 left. The tournament $100,000 of scholarship contributions on the line for the winning school. And you look at some of these things that George Mason did on the road to the Final Four, out-rebounding Michigan State by 16, plus 16. Coming back from the Fort North Carolina. Florida today, though, has a 13-rebound advantage.
Well, holding Tyler Hansbrough to 10 points on the game, 2 in the second half.
Noah weaving, doubled up by the two big guys. Humphrey with another 3, and what a half. What a half.
And there is Skin. He has to realize you cannot leave Humphrey. Humphrey, that is the only way he's going to score. But those are points you just can't get back.
Butler puts up the floater. And now some pressure. Noah looking and finding Humphrey. And he weave right past the Heat. It's Brewer open baseline, and he'll head to the line. Tuesday after NCIS, 39 million viewers have discovered TV's #1 new drama. Catch a new episode of The Unit Tuesday here on CBS, America's #1 network. Corey Brewer ran into Coach Larinaga of George Mason a couple of times here at the Final Four. They had met several years ago. Went to Brewer's home in Portland, Tennessee, trying to recruit an older brother to come to Mason. That ended up not going there, but on to Austin Peay.
Young man was co-defensive player of the year in the SEC with a guy we'll see in the second game, Tyrus Thomas. They play defense a lot differently, but both extremely effective. Brewer with those long arms, stays down, deflects a lot of passes. Thomas goes up above everybody to block shots.
Yes, he does. Skin puts up the shot.
Not called.
And Lewis with a chance for the three-point play.
Lewis, he's playing. You're talking about a veteran. I'm not talking about a senior veteran. There's the push. And he gets by with it, pushes with one arm, catches the ball with the other. A strong young fella.
So Jai Lewis, he had 14 free throw attempts against the UConn Huskies, most by anyone against that UConn that led the nation in block shots. And he ended up with a 20-point game and helping lead the Patriots past the Huskies, the #1 seed out of that bracket.
Hey, they out-rebounded Connecticut, too. You're talking about Michigan State. They out-rebounded Connecticut by 3.
Noah with a nifty move, and again, the Gators going inside.
Now, one thing I've noticed about this officiating tonight, they're allowing the back-down play in the low post. So the players are going to have to go ahead and realize how it's being called inside.
Skin. Tough shot, tipped up and in by Jai Lewis.
Beautiful hands. He went up for the two-handed catch and realized he had a chance to put it back in. A very intelligent player.
Yes, he is, and Coach Larinaga telling us that yesterday. Both of his big guys, Thomas and Lewis, so smart, so patient. That shot blocked and into the arms of Lewis. All-conference performer we're talking here, 3 straight years.
There's an example. He didn't throw the ball away.
Right back to him. And look at the big wave from the rim and go up with it.
Well, we're going to see another big man in the second game that outweighs him by about what, Jim? 20 pounds. Who's just as nifty. But that was really something by Lewis on both ends of the floor.
Foul on Will Thomas as we hit 7:17 to go. Florida up 13.
Maybe.
Tradition unlike any other. The Masters on CBS. Win an NCAA-related prize every 35 seconds at mycokerewards.com/NCAA.
But Jim, for George Mason to get back in this ball game, they've been going inside, but they're trading baskets when they do that. They have on the year, they were the #2 team in their league in regard to field goal accuracy from 3. In the tournament, they've actually even been better, shooting 42% from. To start thinking about that a little bit, Butler and Skin are going to have to be looking for that with 7:17 to go. Find themselves down 13. They cannot continue to trade baskets.
Thanks in a large part to this man handling the ball. Plus 30 for Florida tonight behind the arc.
And Butler's on him. Butler tries to help out inside. And he's got to be careful doing that because that let Humphrey wide open on the perimeter.
That one's on Butler, and that's the 7th team. Reaching in.
And you can see where he came from, Jim. He left Humphrey and went in there, and you've got to be very careful. particularly now that Humphrey's got a nice string going.
So we're now in the bonus. 1-1. They say Horford was shooting. They give him 2.
He made all-region last week. He was second team all-SEC. Young guy has just continued to improve over last year where he was solid. Now he's an all-star.
Doesn't drop, and it's Jai Lewis. His performance last week against Villanova really overshadowed by Noah's awesome numbers. But those two combined had 33 points, 30 rebounds, and 7 blocks. And Lewis got him to go for the fake, and he traveled, they say.
Maybe he traveled a little bit before the contact, but how about that fake handoff? Billy Donovan tried to get Green into that ball game to beat the press. But last week, it was Noah and Horford that were beating the press.
Over to Hodge. And Florida with 6:40 to go and up 14 in no hurry. Trying to make it back to another championship game in Indianapolis as Brewer is blocked. And saved by Butler.
Right now, Jim, a 3-point shot would be for George Mason.
It would be their first of the night. Here it goes on the way, and yes, Tony Skinn heard the call. Down to 11.
Skinn hurt his hand. He's really holding his finger. Might have been hit after that shot was released. And he'd better stay with Humphrey right now because Humphrey's on the perimeter. We'll let him for another
3, and he has been the difference.
And you see what happened there? Skinn took his eye off the man that is so dangerous. You cannot afford to do that when you're playing a guy that's strictly a perimeter shooter. Big mistake. See, there's that back down move that's been working all night long with these officials.
Thomas with the basket, and a timeout called by George Mason. But Lee Humphrey has 19 on the game, 16 in the second half. Jim Larrañaga, and a father who was reunited with one of his sons today. There he is, Jay, who plays professionally over in Italy. Got another son, John, who's here. Jay flew in today, arriving at 2 o'clock with his wife and his little, well, 6-week-old son, James. And before the game, Coach Larrañaga got to see his first grandson for the first time ever. Has a granddaughter, too, but what an emotional thing it was for him to try to talk about it at the opening ceremony as Noah walks.
Jim, what is really interesting here, Florida was so effective against Villanova pressure by keeping Horford and Noah in the backcourt to bring it up and throwing over it. Here's a little zone defense by Florida. First time tonight they've gone to the 2-3 zone. And Butler need to find some holes and look to shoot from the outside. There's one.
And Skinn saw Noah bearing down on him. Campbell tries it on the wing, and now they've hit 2 in a row.
I wonder if Billy Donovan will stay in that zone. He gave it a try. I don't think it's in their best interest.
They went 34 minutes in this dome without hitting a 3-point shot. Now they hit 2 in a row. And they've got it down to single digits. And that's going against George Mason, against Skinn.
Quickness, as does Green. He just didn't get his feet over there. Jim, the real thing in the officiating in this game, and I think the game has been well officiated, is the fact that you can get the ball in the low post and back your man down into the basket. Players have to recognize that, and particularly if Billy Donovan has to get out of this zone because they're going to go back inside to Lewis. You've got to go ahead when you feel that contact, hold firm and go to the floor.
That was a 1-on-1 front end. And George Mason was down as many as 19, cutting it to 9.
Well, Florida has really done a great job this year getting the foul line. Excellent free throw shooting team, 74%. And of course, you get Green on the line, number 2 in the SEC at 88% on the year.
66-55 with 4.5 to play.
Zone lasted 1 possession.
Yeah. After they gave up the 3, no more of that.
Yeah. Not a bad try, but
Campbell Noah and Horford shot.
That's where this Florida team is so good. When you take one of the big guys with your dribble, the other guy is waiting to go ahead and block from the weak side. It's almost better to drive and think pass when the big guy's on you.
We move under 4 minutes. Brewer gets past and heading to the line. So that foul on Jai Lewis. His third. Will be right back. George Mason bringing a lot of respect to the Colonial Athletic Association. Its longtime commissioner, Tom Yeager. A giant killer conference through the years. 16 wins in all by the CAA over higher seed when Navy was in the league with David Robinson. Made it to the Elite Eight in '86. Of course, Richmond was the first ever 15 to beat a 2 when they beat Syracuse in the tournament.
The great Dick Tarrant, who was really the giant killer. Knocked Charles Barkley out of playing in the NCAA tournament.
And the next year after that, Old Dominion as a 14 defeated Villanova in 3 overtimes as Brewer has another free throw coming.
And we can think of one, Jim, that we almost watched them pull off a miracle win against Maryland when John Goldie coined shots and Drew Nicholas hit the shot and ran right off the floor the rest of the to end the ball game.
North Carolina Wilmington.
Yep. This conference is done.
This could be backcourt because it was off his leg. So back to the Gators.
Tough play by Campbell, but he saw Brewer, who was again sitting down so low with those long arms. Well, Brewer plays like he's about 6'9". Very thin, but very long.
Range 2 can fire that 3. Explosion to the basket. And this is Horford missing it on the other side.
And how about Lewis not coming over? Realize he would have fouled.
Norwood 3. No.
Good block out that time by Richard on Lewis.
And Green, I've seen this now watching him all season. Sometimes you think he's going to lose control of it, but really he's almost always in control. So really, Corian Green.
And he's looking at the official saying, I'm getting hit.
Off balance this time.
Yep, you see the difference when Humphrey has to move to the ball and shoot on the move. Nowhere near as effective.
But Horford got the long board. And the Gator contingent cheering.
We got a little action right here. Now there's a technical foul on both players, Green and Skin.
Skin saying, wait a minute, what did I do?
Yeah, well, they were mouthing off, and this was coming, Jim. The last time down the floor, Skin was talking to the official saying, hey, he's hitting me. And so there you're going to have a double tee. Each one gets teed up.
One on Green, one on Skin.
Remember in Noah got the technical foul.
Yeah, last week in Minneapolis.
Yeah, against Hibbert in the Georgetown game. But that was this is a nice piece of officiating here because both players going after each other.
Skin will shoot the free throws off the towards Tony Skin. Is the kid that had to withstand a week of speculation that his suspension from the conference tournament semifinal loss to Hofstra might cost his team a bid. And that's why there was so much talk swirling about George Mason. They'd gone out of the semifinals and they weren't going to go into the NCAAs if they got the bid with Skin.
And remember what Jim Larinaga did. That was a classy thing.
Unbelievable.
He had not been selected. And you know, a lot of times the committee takes in consideration a player that may be injured. Orson said this year when Mike Krzyzewski said, I hope George Mason gets an invite. I'm a believer in the basketball gods. I think they get things right at some point. I hope for Jim it's this week. If not, I think it will happen somewhere, sometime.
Coach
How
K,
prophetic, huh?
He said, Coach K said it sent chills through his body when he heard that Larinaga had made that decision on his own and was going to apply to either the NIT or NCAA. Of course, Skin set down that first NCAA game, sat right by the coach, and came back for the... And now he's going to come out and be replaced by Jordan Carter.
But it really is, you know, a move when you're a coach and you talk about winning against all odds. Really a classy thing to do. Jim knew he was on the bubble. And here you have the committee looking and saying, hey, one of their key players will not be eligible to play in the NCAA first game, and yet he still made the move. That's a class act.
Butler, last second, and the pass picked off by Green.
That ball has to be thrown with a lot more velocity. The Gator fans starting to feel it.
Yep, time is running down, running out on Cinderella. Work it into Richard. Green says we're coming back out. Going to use our full 35. As close as we can go. Horford to Brewer.
If Horford had stepped in, there's Horford wide open.
Takes the jumper now baseline. And back out to Horford, and the Gators reset and use up more time.
And Jim, those second chance points were the way that Florida got the start in the beginning of this ball game, and this is how they're ending it. Just a little bit too long and too big for this George Mason club. There is a difference in talent level.
George Mason scored the first basket of the game. They had the lead tonight as Green's long on a three, and Horford for the second straight time pulls it back out. So they had a lead in all for only 47 seconds before the Gators moved it up by 10 to see that lead cut to 1. It was 5 at the half, and then Humphrey came out and knocked down 3 threes the first 9 of the second half for Florida.
Just exactly the opposite of what George Mason has been able to do in this tournament, where they've come out, start the second half, and just exploded against their opponent.
Horford in the lane, coming back out with it again. 2 on the shot clock, so Green fires.
Did they get another one?
Horford all 3 times.
Noah over there cheering as if he's had the game of his life, and that's what I love about this team of Florida. Matter of fact, all 4 teams that got here, there's tremendous respect for teammates. It's about team, not self, for all 4 of these clubs.
This Florida team young and high on enthusiasm. Played every game this year, their coach will tell you, with a lot of emotion. That was never a concern. And that's staying with the Gators with 11 on the shot clock, and we're running out of time.
And they were picked 3rd preseason in the SEC.
Christine Donovan, her husband's going back to a championship game for a second time.
In the same city.
Tim Burns on the floor now, coming in for George Mason. And there's his father, Billy's father, William, who was a great player of his own. Boston College, he graduated back in '62, and when he graduated, he was their number 3 all-time scorer.
Jim Larinaga trying to get a lot to say, you know, I played in a game.
That's very nice.
In the NCAA tournament Final Four.
Makings coming in. Konate Hernandez back on the floor. He had seen previous action. This George Mason team.
You know, Jim, in this city of Indianapolis, team called Iowa with a guy named Steve Krasicin was the only guy ever to get in an NCAA tournament game for 2 teams, 2 different teams, and score for both in NCAA tournament history.
Iowa, North Carolina.
Yeah.
And here's Brewer with the 3 and hits it.
Boy, he has played a solid game.
The 12th three-pointer of the game for the Gators. That ties their season high. Hernandez on the drive, and he's in the scoring column. Well, George Mason, what a story. What a difference, though, they've made, I think, for the future of the tournament. There were a lot of people who underestimated this tournament. I know that we certainly scrutinized and took a close inspection of their bid, but boy, did they show that they deserved it. And lasting effects for the tournament, I think absolutely, when it comes to how mid-majors will be viewed from this point forward. But this time, it's Florida's turn, and they're heading to the final.
Nothing to be ashamed of. In life, sometimes you're just a better man out there. And that's the case in Florida and George Mason.
Florida going on to the championship game to take on either LSU or UCLA. It was a huge victory, Billy, no matter what happened to George Mason here. No question.
I would agree.
Noah will have a chance to play in front of his father one more time. He and the young Gators, the baby Gators, will be playing Monday night for Billy Packer and Dan Bonner. Jim Nance saying our final score 73-58. Coming up next, LSU UCLA. Greg Gumbel coming up in just a moment.
Let's go, baby. Don't you know that I'm love in a God of fever, baby? Don't you know that I'll always be true?
Need a little flower power? Our retirement specialists can help. Call 1-800-FIDELITY. Smart move.
There's a lot of margin in selling a $2 jar of cashews for $8. Premium pricing. The grail we all seek. But to earn it, you must satisfy a need. The right moment. Who's going to help you do that? Huh, Chief? IBM. Innovation for profit.
Big bucking chicken, you are big, you are chicken. Big bucking chicken.
Take a ride on the new BK Tender Crisp Cheesy Bacon. The only way to beat it is to eat it.
Bucking chicken.
Over the last 100 NCAA student athletes have gone pro in something other than sports.
Dragovic made a name for himself as an ethnic cleanser.
We are now in a hot zone. Code's been broken.
This has become an illegal operation. Get out.
Escape and evade, Brown. They catch him, they'll put him on trial for murder.
Why we not?
TV's #1 new show.
Bob was in trouble, would you tell me?
No.
The Unit, CBS Tuesday after NCIS.
Who will possess the immunity idol?
It's every man for himself.
Catch a new survivor Thursday.
Attention, Justin Marciano. We're here to bring you all new Bell South services. Huge monthly savings, plus up to $200 in Visa gift cards. So, with all you get, Justin Marciani, why not bundle with Bell South right now?
I'm not.
Don't you want to be?
Get the services you need and up to $200 in Visa gift cards. Only from Bell South. Listening, answering.
Isn't it about time for an upgrade? Take advantage of the Acura upgrade opportunity and experience satellite-linked, voice-activated technology and special 2.9% APR financing.
One thing I like about Jiffy Lube, even if you wait till the last minute, no appointment necessary, we're in there and out and on our way.
For oil changes and routine maintenance, nobody does it like Jiffy Lube.
WRAL is your Hoops headquarters. Live reports throughout the tournament.
Carolina and Duke taking up residence in the Field of Force.
Coverage you won't get anywhere else. WRAL quarters.
WRAL News, named Outstanding News Operation in North Carolina by the Associated Press.
Welcome back to Indianapolis, everyone. Want to remind you that the second half of our national semifinal doubleheader comes up at 8:51 p.m. Eastern Time. That's when LSU and UCLA will tip it off for the right to move into Monday night. There is the final score of Game 1. The Florida Gators over George Mason by a score of 73-58. Our Chevy MVPs of the game, Jai Lewis for George Mason, Lee Humphrey for the Florida Gators, Greg Gumbel along with Clark Kellogg and Seth Davis. Cinderella's clock struck 12 a little after 8 o'clock this evening. A gallant effort, but as you guys expected, outmanned.
Yeah, they were outmanned. Florida was just too long. They did it defensively and with three-point shooting. And both Lee Humphrey, somebody we didn't talk about prior to the game, shows you how balanced Florida is when he can be the star of the game.
Yeah, and Florida has done a great job all year, especially the last 6 weeks or so, really figuring out who to go to in whatever situation. And Lee Humphrey tonight had the hot hand. I just think George Mason was so concerned with Florida's inside players. You have to pick your poison with this team, and that's why Florida's so strong. They're great inside, they're great outside, and their defense during their win streak has really been the story, once again holding an opponent under 60 points tonight. Very impressive.
Yeah, the Florida Gators now riding in streak. 73-58 is the final score. Out on the floor just a short while ago, Jim Nance and Billy Packer with Florida coach Billy Donovan and Lee Humphrey.
The Gators are going to the championship game. Congratulations, Billy, and what a difference this young man made right here. Lee, you had the feeling tonight, I take it, huh?
Thanks. I felt good tonight. Teammates did a great job of moving the ball around. I got some good looks off of kickouts from inside and a few in transition. They did a good job of finding me.
You know, on Thursday night, you got to meet Manning, and he's here today watching, and you put on quite a show for him. What's this week been like for you?
Oh, it's been an exciting week for me. Final Four is exciting altogether, and then to top it off, I got to meet my childhood hero, Peyton Manning, and it's just been a great week for me, and hopefully we'll be able to play well one more game.
We'll see you Monday night, and Billy, tell us about what it took to win this game.
Well, you know, I think George Mason's been playing great, but I really thought the key in the game was the three-point line, and their front court's great, and they go inside, but I think the one thing that's been missing from they were shooting about 32% during the regular season from the three-point line. In this tournament, it went up to 42%. And we just felt like the three-point line was critical. I don't know with Lewis and Thomas if you're just going to shut those guys out, but we felt like the three-point line was. And I don't know what they ended up shooting for the game. I know in the first half we took it away pretty well.
They only made 2 for the game, and it took 35 minutes before they made one. And that's been a theme in your 10-game win streak, shutting people out behind the arc.
Well,
congratulations, Billy.
You guys. I
and we'll see you, Lee. We'll see you Monday night, guys.
Talk about the three-pointer being the story of the game. Three-point field goals. Florida hit 12 out of 25. George Mason just 2 out of 11. A timeout, and we'll come back live to Indianapolis with more on CBS.
I mean, is there anything they don't charge you for these days? Every time I make a trade, big commissions. Buy a few mutual funds, bam. I mean, just having an account in the first place, cha-ching! You get a bill just for walking past their office.
Subway Dinner Theater presents The Thing.
What is it? I don't know. Don't touch it. It's glowing. Run!
And now for dinner. The Italian trio, hot and fresh from the oven. Meatball marinara and chicken parmesan on new toasted garlic bread. And the Italian BMT. Subway, eat fresh!
So tell me, is it true you do more breaks than anyone?
Yes, we do almost 2 million brake jobs a year.
And you guarantee all your work?
Absolutely. Is something burning?
Oh, those are Fred's old brakes. Very funny.
Come to the best. Midas. You'll get pads or shoes for just $99.95 installed, backed by a nationwide lifetime guarantee. For mechanics known for their work and their word.
Trust the Midas touch.
I want to go over a few things before you leave for Oslo. 80 gig, titanium, Wi-Fi, secure. Should you find yourself sans laptop, check in with this. Bluetooth, broadband, built-in camera.
Secure.
If it's on our network, it's secure.
Encrypted, titanium.
It's a pen.
Security, powered by Cisco.
Look out! What a finish! A tradition unlike any other. The Masters on CBS.
Good news, America. The Amazing Race is moving to a new day and time. CBS Wednesday at 8, 7 Central. It's the one reality show that over 70% of Americans said they'd
rock this.
You got to throw it now! Come on!
We're stealing his fish.
Don't miss a new Amazing Race on its new day and time. CBS Wednesday at 8, 7 Central.
Now it's time to look at the 4 finalists for the Pontiac game-changing performance of the tournament. Number 1, 14 seed Northwestern State shocked 3rd seeded Iowa on Jermaine Wallace's last-second fadeaway three-point shot. Number 2, LSU's Darryl Mitchell's 22-foot three-pointer in the final seconds gives the Tigers a 58-57 win over Texas A&M. Texas guard Kenton Paulino beats the buzzer and West Virginia by sinking this last-second long-range three-pointer. And number 4, Ryan Holland's dunk ends a UCLA scoring drought late in the game. The second-seeded Bruins knock off top seed Memphis. Now's your chance to go to ncaasports.com/Pontiac and vote for the Pontiac game-changing performance of the tournament. The winning school will earn a $100,000 scholarship contribution from Pontiac. As we welcome you back to Indianapolis, we remind you coming up our second national semifinal. LSU will meet UCLA for the right to move on against the Florida Gators. Our tip time is set for 8:51 Eastern Time. We're joined once again by our colleague Dick Enberg. Back in the year 2002, Shane Battier's 4-year contributions at Duke inspired Dick to honor student athletes who stay in school to play for 4 full years. Dick?
Thank you, Greg. It is a refreshing contrast to those who leave a program early or those who don't even go to college. Our past winners: Juan Dixon, Maryland; David West of Xavier; Jameer Nelson, St. Joseph's; and last year we honored Wayne Simi. We salute the 10 finalists for the 2006 Lowe's Senior Class Award. Maurice Ager, Michigan State. Ager, the 10th leading scorer in Spartan history, averaged over 19 a game. D. Brown, Illinois, 114 wins in his career, and Illini record. Brown, a second-team All-America. Taquan Dean, Louisville. Dean, the all-time three-pointer. Villanova's Randy Foy, first-team All-American, averaged 20.5 a game. Foy named the Big East Player of the Year. Vincent Greer, Minnesota, led the Big Ten in steals and the Gophers in scoring. Greer named to the All-Big Ten team. Chris Hernandez, Stanford, 2-time All-Pac-10 guard. Tough at both ends of the court, his presence made everyone else better. West Virginia's Kevin Pittsnoggle, All-Big East, at 6'11", one of the nation's point shooters. Averaged 19 a game. J.J. Redick, Duke, all-time scorer in ACC history. He set the NCAA record with over 450 three-pointers. Craig Smith, Boston College, finished his career with 2,000 points and 1,000 rebounds. And Sheldon Williams, Duke, twice the ACC Defensive Player of the Year, a consensus first-team All-American. And those are the finalists for the 2006 Senior Class Award. Pretty good 10-man team. And now this year's Lowe's Senior Class Award, here's Bob Gefeller, Senior Vice President of Marketing and Advertising for Lowe's.
Thank you, Dick. I'd like to announce the winner of the Senior Class Award this year, J.J. Redick. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
J.J., I'm here today with Clay Clement, who is our Vice President of Store Operations for Lowe's from the Midwest region, and we are very excited to present this award to you. It represents the longevity, all the achievements that you've had in the program at Duke for the last 4 years.